Hi, I'm Penny, and as usual, I'm here to talk about some bookish things. Specifically, today I wanted to do the over 30 book tag. Because, yes, I am old, although not really. I always like to think about the perspective of like an 80-year-old and how young they must think I seem. But I know that a lot of booktubers are much younger, and us older booktubers are a bit like unicorns. So I thought I would make this video to help other unicorns find me and help me to find some other unicorns. So if you are like an older booktuber, please comment down below and I will come and check out your channel. So let's try not to make this video too long and we will talk about the questions. Of course, I will link the original creator of the video down below. Name one of your favorite books which features a protagonist who is 30 years or older. I feel like I haven't talked about this book series in ages, which is strange because it is definitely one of my favorites, and that is the Kate Daniels series by Alona Andrews. This is a 10-book series. It finished the start of this year and I'm still kind of sad about it, but I'll probably reread the series at some point. I think in the beginning of the series Kate is about 25 and by the end of the series she's in her 30s. Kate Daniels is this mercenary set in this dystopian future where magic has started to come back in waves. So sometimes magic works, sometimes technology works, and you can never really be sure when the change is going to happen. There's also shapeshifters and vampires and all sorts of different mythological creatures, but I thought they were really creatively and uniquely written. Kate Daniels is just such a badass, especially as she gets older. Name a book that represents who you were when you were younger. For this question, I'm not really sure which younger me are you talking about. Like, I'm at the upper end of my 30s and I feel like there have been so many different versions of me as I improve and learn over time and, you know, put my efforts into different interests. So for this, I ended up picking 3 books. The first one I think represents very young me, and that is the Babysitter's Club books. But I did also pick The Truth About Stacey, which talks about Stacey's challenges with having diabetes. Now, I don't have diabetes, but I did when I was 30 get diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and so I do relate to a lot of the difficulties Stacey has in telling people about her disease and having people misunderstand it. That's the first book. I also think if I'm talking about younger me, I need to mention the Valdemar series by Mercedes Lackey. So The Storm Rising is one of the many books in one of the many trilogies that are all set in this world, Valdemar, where there are these magical horses called companions that choose the heralds of Valdemar, who are basically the champions of the country. And they all have different kinds of magical abilities. But what the series really did for me, one, it introduced me to fantasy, but two, it taught me a lot about diversity and accepting different kinds of people. I think this is a series that introduced me to the idea of different sexualities. I think just this book really inspired me to try to be a better person. Although that slightly contrasts with the next book. So the last book I have is this one, Bitch, by Elizabeth Wurtzel. So I've actually never quite finished this book. It's basically a lot of feminist essays about how we have this expectation that women should all be nicey, whereas maybe there's nothing wrong with being a bitch when really all a bitch normally is a woman who uses her power. I guess in my 20s, I wanted to be a rock star. I was definitely a bitch a lot of the time. Not that I was necessarily mean, but I had a very clear idea of what I wanted, and that's what I was going to get. I think someone once described me as very hard out at the time. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to be a bitch as long as you combine it with being a good person. And I think that's possible. Name a book that represents where you are in your life now. So I'm in a really weird place in my life at the moment where I got myself in a financial position where I could take this year off work. So that's what I'm doing, hence the colourful hair, because I don't have to worry about looking corporate at the moment. Instead, I'm just taking the year to look at what the possibilities are and really enjoy the things that I enjoy doing. So the book I chose to represent this is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. So in this book, it's really hard to talk about without spoilers. There's a guy called Jason. He gets kidnapped. It's weird. I really love this book, but it's really hard not to spoil. But I think how this represents my life at the moment is that I know that there are infinite possibilities out there as to what could happen next, and I am open to those possibilities, and I guess I'm choosing to believe that whichever path I go down is the right path. Name a book that represents something that has never changed about you. I decided to go with Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, although I'll admit I'm kind of mad at Patrick Rothfuss at the moment. Like, I feel myself getting more and more angry that he hasn't written the third book of this series. But we'll put that aside. How this book represents something about me that has never changed is that Quoth is always learning things. And I think for me, something that I've done, no matter what was going on through my life, is I'm always trying to figure out how to make things better and to learn new things. And while that learning has always been in different areas, it's been something that's been constant throughout, and I hope for the rest of my life. Name one of your favorite classics. I don't really like classics, but if I had to pick one, I would choose Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. One, because Mary Shelley is a badass, but also I just really love the monster in the story. He's such a lovely creature, despite everything that happens, and I really love the way he tried to understand the world. Name a book that you like or would like to read that was published in the year you were born. So I'm going to cheat for this one because I had a look at the books from my year of birth, which was 1980. And one, that's hard to search for because every time you search for 1980, I want to tell you all the books from the whole decade. So that's annoying. Also, I didn't like any of the books from 1980. So I guess, the universe was worrying about making good people that year rather than good books. But I did find a book from 1981 that I really liked. This is not exactly it. This is an omnibus of two books, The Many-Colored Land and The Golden Talk. And The Many-Colored Land was published in 1981. So The Many-Colored Land is the first book in a trilogy by Julian May called The Saga of the Exiles. The setup for this is that criminals in the future get sent back in time before there were any humans, and this follows the story of those humans and what they discover when they're back in time. Also, some of these people have psychic abilities. This series also links into the Galactic Maloo series, which I also love. The Galactic Maloo series is set in the future where people are first discovering their psychic abilities. And the two series actually interlink because there is time travel between the two. And I can never remember which one comes first because of that reason, because the story kind of goes in a circle. Like, there's things from this series that would be useful to know going into the other one, but there's things from the other one that would also be useful to know going into this one, and it's very confusing, and that's the kind of time travel I like. So we'll pretend that it was published in 1980. So isn't it nice that it started being created around the same time as I was created? So if you are over 30, as I said, please let me know. I'd love to be old people friends. Or otherwise, if you are a baby booktuber, nice to see you. Do you think 30 is old? Probably. And of course, if you have read any of the series that I talked about today, they are all ones that are quite near and dear to my heart, so I would love to talk to you about them down in the comments. Otherwise, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.